All right. FBA, Foundational Black Americans. Listen up. You can do better.
Do better at what exactly? I want to hear this.
You see, the last time I checked, I talk about or I preach about love on my page. I focus on love, unity among we black people around the world. Yes, I've been telling you people to come closer so that we can build as one family. You see, I've been seeing videos on YouTube. I've been seeing a lot of you foundational black Americans carry my videos and you tarnish it. You don't, even when you are responding to the videos, you are attributing me to an animal.
We never said that you were an animal. At least I didn't. Now, there are 43 million of us, so I can't be responsible for what some say. I said in other videos, you are our cousins. Yes, your family. But we had an ethnogenesis here. We are hundreds of years removed from Africa. We never denied having African blood. But why is it that it's so hard for you people to accept that? It's like you're trying to force us into this unity. We are all the way across the world. You know for a fact you have African countries right now at war. Why are you not pressuring them for this unity that you want? What is it about us that is so important to you? I'll tell you why. Well, we've said it already. We've been called the Kata, Jareers, everything you can think of. That's one reason. The second reason is you people don't fight. You don't fight the Asians. You don't fight the white people. You don't fight the Arabs. Those Arabs literally took over Egypt. They've literally for years lied about Egypt.
The ancient Egyptian civilization, indigenously known as Kemet, punctuated by their exquisite artwork and architecture, has captivated the attention and imagination of the world since time began. However, when it comes to their own depictions and timeless artwork, these are often totally ignored in media and educational resources, opting for a more modern, less authentic reproduction, regardless of historical accuracy. In response to this, modern reconstruction artists are challenging the status quo by making reconstructions that honor the skilled portraiture of Kemet and recreating the faces of this great African civilization by giving prominence to the countless statues, papyrus, and reliefs that they use to depict themselves, often in meticulous detail. The results so far have been astonishing. Subscribe for detailed walkthroughs of our reconstruction processes.
This man, Zahi Hawass, has lied about Egypt for years. He said the Sphinx and the pyramids are 4,500 years old, which is impossible because they have watermarks on them. Deep, and a lot of watermarks are on the Sphinx. There wasn't water in that part of the world until 10 to 12,000 years ago. So that's how old that stuff is, or older. He lied about how it's built. When you listen to what he says about how it were built, that's impossible. They were not using copper tools and wood to carry 80,000-pound slabs. it would shatter the wood. And they moved it on wet sand. This is what he said. And when they tried to create this stuff, it didn't work. You have machines today built by men that have trouble carrying an 80,000-pound slab. Yet these people supposedly built those pyramids the way he says. The man has been caught in lie after lie after lie. It was Americans who said Egyptians were black. We fought more for that than you guys did. And then come to find out this.
A black American from Atlanta named Dexter just found out that he is a direct descendant of King Ramses III of Egypt.
You have such an interesting history. Please explain what made you do a DNA test, and then what happened when you found out all of a sudden that you're related to Ramses III?
That's a great question, Emily. Well, about a year and a half ago, I traveled to places like Israel, France, and different places like that. And so what happened was people would always ask a normal question, where are you from? And I would say the States, United States. And the people that I saw in France would say, no, where are you really from? And I said, the States, that's all I know. And so that question stuck with me for a long time. And I just said, where am I actually from? I mean, I know I'm American, but where my DNA is from? And so I said, well, let me take my DNA test. It was a 23andMe DNA test. And I took the test and I was shocked when I saw the results. It came back and it showed that I was actually a direct descendant of the Pharaoh Ramses III. And I knew nothing of the pharaohs. Didn't know much about Egypt, but everything you hear about, Bible stories and things like that. So for me, it was a huge shock, and that's how I found out about it.
Wow. So obviously you took it deeper and deeper. You saw all of these synchronicities in looking at images of the pharaoh, how much you and even your brother look like them, and your own company has like an eye logo that looks like the Eye of Horus, unconnected to any of this. So what did this open up for you in terms of your own knowledge and learning about this?
I remember I was actually laying in my bed on Christmas Day, 2021, and I was going through my 23andMe DNA test. And that's when I saw that I was connected to the Pharaoh Ramses III. And again, I knew nothing of this situation. And so I looked up a sculpture of the Pharaoh Ramses III. And when I saw the sculpture, I literally screamed. And my wife said, Dexter, what's wrong? I said, this guy from 4,000 years ago, we look just alike. And she said, Dexter, wait a minute. There were no pictures for 4,000 years ago. I said, no, his sculpture was the Pharaoh Ramses III. His sculpture, we look like identical twins. And she said, let me see it. She saw it. She said, oh, my goodness. And then I continued to go over different sculptures, looking online. And I saw the sculpture that looked just like my brother. If you could show that on the screen, it'd be absolutely amazing. But it was, and I looked at the sculpture and I said, this looks just like my brother, Joe. And I called my brother, Joe, and I said, I'm going to send you something. And he said, where'd you get that from? It looks just like me. I said, that's a sculpture of the Pharaoh Ramses III. And he said, oh my God, I said, that's over 4,000 years old and looks identical, just like you. So we were blown away, completely blown away.
Uh-oh. This is not going to go with the narrative the European archaeologists want us to believe. So I'm not sure what they're going to say, but I can see it coming. I can see them sitting down and coming up with an explanation as to how this Black American is a direct descendant of an ancient Egyptian pharaoh. Explain that to us kindly, because you seem to think that the Egyptian, the pharaohs, the ancient time leaders were not black, or they're not descendants of Africans, and they're actually Europeans or they're Arabs. So let's just wait for their explanation. Anyways, fam, what are your thoughts about this man from Atlanta that just discovered that he is royalty? I am Wangel Zalalam. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Like, what kind of a human being are you? Like, seriously? You see, on my page, I don't preach hate. I preach love. I stand love. I stand for love. What is the color of your problem? Even when I'm telling people to come together, for those of you that don't have love in your hearts, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to Black Americans that have love in their hearts. I'm talking to African Americans that have love in their hearts, not you that don't have. Not you that you don't have love in your heart. You don't have nothing to give to the world. Not you.
If you are talking to one FBA, you're talking to all of us. And regardless of what you say as far as we're not preaching love. Yes, we said we love Africa. We love you guys. But we're not Africans. Do we have African DNA? Yes. Which I've shown. But that man that's related to Ramses III, he's not African. He's American. Ramses III family has had an ethnogenesis at this point. But that's still family. That's the point. And we have our own issues here in America. Now, if you want to help us fight those issues, fine. But I don't see how that's going to happen when in your homeland, you're fighting each other. Constantly. Kicking each other out of each other's countries, and it's on the same continent. You say that we have all this hate for you, and it's not. The problem is your arrogance. We try to tell you our history, and you don't want to hear it. We have said over and over, there are some Africans that were actually brought over here. But when a lot of us trace our families, we come from indigenous blood. All of us are not Africans directly. But yes, we have African blood from many years ago. Because the black indigenous that were here, yes, they have African blood. But when you want to stick to the script, everybody comes from Africa, even white people. I don't hear you going around calling them, telling them, begging for this unity. My point is this. You want to get unified, unify Africa. Speak to your people. Don't use liberal tactics to try to shame us for us being proud of where we're from and us putting our flag in the ground when many of you do the same. I don't see you getting at Jamaicans and all the rest of these black cultures. It's just FBA. They want to try to call diasporas and all of this stuff because we are delineating. And we are delineating because Pan-Africanism only helps others. It does not help us. I would love for anybody, I challenge you to give me 5 things that foundational black Americans benefit from in Pan-Africanism, and if tangible things. And if you can give me 5 things, I'll change my stance. And I'll fight for you, and I'll fight for Pan-Africans to get my people to see that's the way to go. But as far as I'm concerned at this point, we have given enough away on our homeland. You want to make unity? This is what you do. Go to Africa. Tell some of the African countries, give black Americans free citizenship. Let us just come over there and get land. How about that? Africa's huge. Let us come over there and help you fight. If we were over there in numbers, I'm talking about, give us 10 million FBAs. And we go to Africa, we'll run every Asian and white person up out of there. Country by country. How you allow them to do what they do in Africa is crazy. but it comes from the tribalism. You're weakened by your tribalism. We are not doing that. We are going to stay one solid fist, and we're going to make it happen here in America. After we get ours together, then we can think about unity, like real unity with everybody else. But that doesn't mean you aren't our brothers and sisters. So now, because we are stopping certain things from happening, it's a problem. Everything we haven't given hasn't been enough. That's the problem with your arrogance. On top of the fact you try to tell us who we are. We're gonna use the man that's related to Ramses. Ramses died over 3,100 years ago. So you want us to claim outright, and when I say outright, I don't mean we're denying our African blood. I'm saying, look how long ago it happened. We're talking shit 3,000, 4,000 years ago. And you just want us to forget our ancestors from 200, 300, 400 years. That makes no sense. We had an ethnogenesis. We are so far removed from Africa. So why would we do that? We are Americans at this point. Just like Jamaicans are Jamaicans, Haitians are Haitians, so on and so on. If you can't understand that, you don't want to. Stop with the guilt tripping, saying we don't have love in our hearts. Yes, we have love in our hearts, but we won't be taken advantage of.